So last week, the Astros announced that they had signed Jose Altuve to a 5-year extension through 2029. And if you guys have not seen that video of me breaking down that discussion, I will link to it at the end of the video. But here in this video, I want to discuss the contract extension possibility for Alex Bergman, who is also going to be a free agent at the end of this upcoming season. And also, in addition to that, I would also want to preview a little bit of spring training as it starts with pitchers and catchers reporting on Wednesday. So let's get into it. So last Thursday, Astros manager Dana Brown had said at a luncheon at Minute Maid to preview spring training that the team does plan to make an extension offer to Alex Bergman, but for the time being, there is no timetable for that to for them to do so. And in addition to that, Bregman's agent spoke with Brown face-to-face the day beforehand, prior to the press conference that the Astros had to announce the Altuve deal about this. But again, just to bring it to his attention, there wasn't much going on behind that. Now, do I respect this? Yeah, of course. I mean, going into the season, the Astros are still going to have Alex Bergman in an Astros uniform no matter what. But, I mean, at the same time, like having him locked up going into the season like we did Altuve would have been really, really nice. And again, I don't expect it to happen prior to the start of the season. But again, he's been a huge part. But he has been a huge part of our success in the playoffs, where we've won a pair of World Series over the last 7 years, and that dates back to only his second year in the big leagues. And he has been in the ALCS every year since. So him signing with another team would likely snap that streak and the competitiveness that he and the Astros are used to. I mean, not only that, he is such an elite defender at his position. And he may not have a gold glove to show for it, but seeing him make elite plays every now and then is just so satisfying to watch, and him showcasing that huge defense, and him not being out there would be a huge blow to an Astros team that does not show many signs of lighting up. Now, when the Astros hired Dana Brown prior to the start of the 2022 season, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 2022, but when the Astros hired Dana Brown, he had come to Houston with intentions of keeping our core players locked up for years to come. And he already did that by inking Christian Javier to, I believe, a 6-year extension. And then, of course, most recently, he did the same to Altuve. Now, Jim Crane, of course, is not a huge fan of super big 10-plus million, 10-plus year-long contracts. And Bregman could be seeking that kind of contract, seeing that he's only 29 years old and he's going to be 30 in about a month. The Astros have continued their winning ways, despite seeing guys like George Springer, Garrett Cole, and Carlos Correa walking in free agency in recent years. So, I mean, adding Alex Bergman to that list would honestly be a bit of a challenge to keep our core players together. But again, we're going to see how this season plays out. Now, before I wrap things up, let's briefly preview spring training a little bit and what the main headline is going to be for the Astros. Now, as usual, again, there's going to be a lot of optimism surrounding this team, who is aiming to reach the ALCS for an 8th consecutive season. That would be matching the Atlanta Braves record, which they set in the 90s. Plus, Joe Espada taking the helm as Astros manager for the first time. So that should and we'll see what his magic is going to look like in this part of the spring before the actual season starts. Now, the main headline this spring mainly is going to be surrounding Josh Hader, who they signed to a 5-year deal last month. Getting into him a little bit more, the main question that's going to be surrounding him is, how is he going to fit in the bullpen? Well, that is a good question, and while Joe Espada has not appointed him as the closer just yet, I don't expect the Astros to be paying him $19 million plus per year just to be a setup man. Like, I would fully expect him to try to maximize his role if we're going to be paying him all this money. So that would mean that former Astros closer Ryan Presley, who is showing a little bit of decline, being in his mid-30s, and I think he's entering the last year of his contract, so I think we might lose him after this season, if not the season after that. I'm not 100% sure. He was a little bit finicky, and I mean, do I expect a closer to be perfect? No. I mean, he probably is going to blow a save once, like, say, every, 15, 20-ish opportunities. Maybe he could blow up a little bit more, but, that's just how closers are, that's how pitchers are in general. But, at the same time, I think I would prefer to have Presley as a setup man in this scenario, seeing that, Josh Hader, if we're going to be paying him all this money, whether we end up getting our money's worth out of him or not, I would prefer to have him as the closer instead of a setup man. And then Presley could join guys like Brian Abreu, Rafael Montero, and a couple of other bullpen spots, which I would imagine we'll be seeing be competed for throughout the spring by a couple of other guys. And I'll be previewing this a little bit more in a future video. But at the same time, I don't really expect, there could also be some things hidden from us fans as to how Espada will be using those first two guys that I just mentioned, Hader and Presley, at the back end of our bullpen. All right, on that note, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thanks a ton, guys, for watching. This would actually be a pretty fun spring training for the Astros, and I'll preview more of spring training as a whole once it actually starts in I think a little over a week and a half from now. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it. Thanks a ton for watching, and go Astros.